Hello to all my passionate English learners. I'm thrilled to have you here today because we're going to unlock a powerful secret that can completely elevate your English communication skills. If you've ever wondered how some speakers can captivate their audience, sound confident, and make their words hit just right, this lesson is for you. Today, we're talking about an often overlooked but incredibly essential skill in English communication: the pause. Yes, that tiny moment of silence can make a huge difference in how you express yourself and how others perceive your message. It's not just about slowing down, it's about commanding attention, adding clarity, and building a sense of confidence every time you speak. Think about this for a moment. When someone speaks too fast or without any breaks, it's hard to keep up, right? But when someone uses pauses effectively, their words stick with you. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to harness the power of pausing to make your speech not only more impactful, but also easier for others to follow and connect with. Stay tuned because I'll share actionable tips to help you practice, polish, and perfect this essential skill. Whether you're chatting with a friend, giving a presentation, or simply wanting to sound more confident in English, this lesson has got you covered. Are you ready to transform the way you communicate? Let's get started. First things first, why is pausing so important? Isn't it enough to just focus on pronunciation, grammar, or vocabulary? Well, yes, those are important too, but pausing plays a unique role. Here are some key reasons why pausing isn't just useful but critical for great communication, especially in English. Number 1. Pausing improves understanding. English is a language that relies heavily on rhythm, tone, and clarity. When you speak without pausing, it's like throwing all your words at someone at full speed. Your sentences blur together, and the listener has no time to absorb what you're saying. Pausing creates space between your ideas. It allows your words to land with the listener, giving them time to think, comprehend, and respond. And guess what? When people understand you better, they're more likely to stay engaged and interested in what you're saying. 2. Pausing adds clarity to your message. Imagine reading a paragraph in a book without any punctuation. Confusing, right? The same thing happens when you speak without pausing. Pauses act like verbal punctuation. They help separate your ideas, mark transitions, and signal to the listener that one thought has ended and another is about to begin. Whether you're explaining a complex idea or telling a simple story, clear pauses help convey your message with precision. 3. Pausing projects confidence. Think about the most effective speakers or storytellers you've listened to. What do they all have in common? They're calm, deliberate, and composed. A confident speaker isn't afraid of silence. They use pauses to show that they're in control of the conversation. It gives the impression that they're thoughtful and intentional rather than rushed or anxious. When you master the art of pausing, you'll notice that people see you differently. You'll come across as self-assured and credible, even if English isn't your first language. Number 4. Pausing engages your audience emotionally. Another incredible thing about pausing is its emotional impact. You can use a brief pause to build suspense or emphasize a point. For instance, when someone is telling you an exciting story, it's not just the words that capture your attention. It's the silences between the words that create anticipation and make you lean in. By using pauses intentionally, you can guide your audience through a range of emotions, making your message more memorable and impactful. Number 5, pausing helps you think. In conversations, people often feel pressured to respond immediately. This is especially challenging when you're speaking a second language like English. But you don't have to rush. Pausing gives you the time to gather your thoughts and frame your ideas clearly. And here's the secret. Native speakers also pause to think. Pausing is universal, and it's a sign that you value clear communication over speed. Now that we know why pausing is so powerful, it's time to talk about how you can use it effectively. Here's a detailed guide with tips to make pauses a natural and impactful part of your English speaking. 1. Practice your awareness of pauses. Before you start actively using pauses, you need to become aware of them. Pay attention to the way people you admire use pauses in conversations, speeches, or presentations. Watch TED Talks or interviews in English and listen for the rhythms in their speech. Once you start noticing pauses, you'll see how they contribute to effective communication. 2. Use pauses to mark transitions. When you're moving from one point to another, pauses act like verbal roadmap signs. They tell your listener, "We've finished one idea and we're starting another." This is especially important in formal settings, like work presentations or academic discussions. Learn to pause briefly before you introduce new ideas to keep your audience on track. 3. Time your pauses with natural breaks. Pauses don't have to feel forced or random. They work best when they align with the natural flow of your speech. For instance, pause briefly at the end of a sentence. Pause slightly longer at the end of major sections. These breaks don't just help you breathe, they also signal to your audience that it's time to shift gears. 4. Avoid overusing filler words. When we're nervous, it's common to fill pauses with or like. While this is natural, overusing fillers can make you sound unsure. Instead of filling the silence with words, use that moment to pause confidently. Silence is much more effective than a string of unnecessary words. 5. Slow down your overall pace. If you tend to rush through your sentences, pausing might feel unnatural at first. That's okay. Start by intentionally slowing down the speed of your speech. This gives you more space to incorporate pauses without feeling awkward. Remember, slowing down and pausing actually makes you sound more authoritative. 6. Practice thinking before you speak. Pausing before you even begin. Speaking is a great habit that makes a big difference. Before responding to a question or starting a conversation, take half a second to gather your thoughts. This adds polish and professionalism to your interactions. 7. Use pauses to manage nervousness. Nervousness often makes people speak faster than they intend to. Pausing can help you steady your nerves and control your breathing. The next time you feel anxious while speaking English, try this. 1. Stop for a moment mid-sentence. 2. Breathe in deeply and exhale slowly. 3. Resume speaking at a calmer, more measured pace. You'll feel more composed, and your audience will notice your confidence. 8. Build pauses into your practice. When practicing English, make pauses part of your routine. Whether you're practicing with a script, reading aloud, or rehearsing a presentation, consciously pause at natural intervals. Over time, pausing will feel as automatic as breathing. 9. Leverage pauses in storytelling. Storytelling is an excellent way to practice meaningful pauses. Deliberate silences can highlight pivotal moments, helping listeners stay emotionally connected to your story. The art here is not about what you say, but what you don't say in that moment of pause. 10. Remember that less is more. Finally, keep in mind that pauses are effective because they're deliberate. You don't want to pause too often or for too long, as it could distract your listener. Strive for balance, using pauses as tools to emphasize key points without breaking the flow of your communication. Pausing isn't just a tool for better speaking, it's a skill that can elevate your entire communication style. Whether you're giving a speech, chatting with a friend, or presenting at work, pauses are your secret weapon for clarity, confidence, and connection. The key is practice. The more consciously you incorporate pauses into your daily speaking, the more natural they will feel. Now, let's talk about a method that's going to make your English speaking and listening skills grow faster than you might think. If you've been trying to improve your skills and have felt stuck, this video is for you. We often think that the best way to learn English is through textbooks, apps, or formal lessons. But there's a better way to improve your speaking and listening. It's all about engaging in real-life conversations. And that's exactly what we're going to talk now. So, how do you use real-life conversations to improve your English? Let's dive into this powerful and practical method that will help you speak and understand English like a native. What is the real-life conversations method? The listening and speaking with real-life conversations method is all about immersing yourself in natural conversations. Instead of focusing solely on classroom material or textbooks, you practice your English by engaging with people in real-world scenarios. This method is powerful because it exposes you to the actual way people speak, not just the formal structures we see in textbooks. This means you'll practice speaking and listening with authentic vocabulary, real-time responses, and conversations that reflect how English is really used. And the best part is, it helps you build confidence and fluency in a way that feels natural and practical. Why is this method effective? Now, why is this method so effective for improving your speaking and listening skills? Let me tell you. 1. Real-life context. When you practice speaking and listening through real conversations, you're learning how English is actually used in everyday situations. You'll encounter vocabulary, expressions, and even slang that you might not learn in a classroom, but that you'll hear all around you in the real world. 2. Improves listening comprehension. One of the toughest challenges for English learners is understanding spoken English, especially when it's fast or filled with different accents. By listening to people speak in natural settings, you'll get used to different speeds, accents, and informal expressions, making it easier to follow conversations in the future. 3. Builds confidence. Nothing boosts your confidence like using the language in real-life situations. When you speak with someone in a real conversation, you'll naturally become more comfortable with your English skills. You won't be as afraid to make mistakes because the focus is on communication, not perfection. 4. Helps you speak naturally. You'll start picking up on the natural flow of conversation, including pauses, tone, and how people switch topics. This will help you sound more like a native speaker, as you'll be speaking in a way that's much more spontaneous and conversational. Now that you know why this method works so well, let's dive into how you can use real-life conversations to improve your English. Step 1. Find conversation partners. The first step is to find people to practice with. This could be native English speakers. If you know anyone who speaks English fluently, practice with them as often as you can. This is probably the best way to learn. Language exchange partners. If you don't know native speakers, you can find language exchange partners online. There are many websites and apps where you can connect with people who want to practice your native language while you practice English. Online communities or classes. You can join online conversation groups, classes, or forums. There are many places where people meet virtually to practice languages. Step 2. Start with simple conversations. When you first start, don't worry about having long or complicated conversations. Start with simple everyday topics. Introduce yourself. Practice talking about who you are, where you're from, and what you do. Talk about what you did that morning, what you ate for lunch, or what you're planning to do in the evening. Talk about your interests. Share your hobbies, favorite books, or movies. This helps you feel more relaxed and natural when speaking. Keep your conversations light and easy. The goal is to practice speaking, not to get every sentence perfect. Step 3. Use real-world materials. Another way to use real-life conversations is by listening to real-world materials like podcasts, YouTube videos, interviews, and even TV shows. These types of materials often feature natural, spontaneous conversations that are perfect for learning. Listen to podcasts. There are many podcasts made specifically for English learners where they talk about everyday topics in a simple and clear way. You can listen to these podcasts and try to understand how the speakers talk in a natural setting. Watch YouTube videos. Find YouTube videos where the host has casual conversations. This will help you hear natural speech patterns and learn new vocabulary used in real-life situations. Listen to interviews. Interview formats are another great resource. Whether it's an interview with a celebrity or a business person, interviews often cover interesting topics, and they can expose you to new vocabulary and speech patterns. Step 4. Engage in active listening. One of the most important parts of this method is active listening. This means you're not just hearing the words, you're paying attention to the context, intonation, and feelings behind the words. While you listen to a conversation or a podcast, try to notice how the speakers respond to each other. What kind of questions do they ask? How do they react to what the other person says? The emotions in their voices. Are they excited, serious, or funny? How does their tone change depending on the situation? Active listening helps you not only understand what's being said, but also how it's being said, which will improve your own speaking. Step 5. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. The most important thing to remember is that mistakes are part of the learning process. In a real conversation, people are more focused on communication than on perfect grammar or pronunciation. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Each mistake is a chance to learn and improve. And over time, you'll get better at expressing yourself confidently. Step 6. Practice regularly. Consistency is key. Try to have at least one conversation in English every day. If that's not possible, aim for a few times a week. The more you practice, the more you'll notice improvements in your listening and speaking skills. Even if it's just for 10 to 15 minutes a day, regular practice will help you stay on track and make steady progress. Here are a few tips to make this method even more effective. Keep a journal. After each conversation, write down the new words and phrases you learned. This will help reinforce your learning. Challenge yourself. Once you get comfortable with simple conversations, challenge yourself with more complex topics. Discuss things like current events, your future plans, or deep opinions on different subjects. Learn from others. Pay attention to how other people use language in conversations. Notice how they express themselves and try to incorporate some of their phrases and expressions into your own speech. While this method is great, here are a few common mistakes to avoid. 1. Not listening enough. Don't just focus on speaking. Make sure you're listening and understanding the other person. Real conversations are about both listening and speaking, so make sure to give the other person a chance to speak and share their thoughts. 2. Avoiding mistakes. Don't try to speak perfectly. Focus on communicating. The more you practice speaking, the easier it will become to speak confidently and naturally. The real-life conversations method is an incredibly effective way to improve your English speaking and listening skills. By practicing with real people, listening to natural conversations, and engaging in everyday topics, you'll start to sound more fluent and confident in no time. And that wraps up today's lesson, my incredible learners. Thank you so much for spending your time with me here on the English Fluency Teacher channel. I'm so proud of you for taking the time to work on your English skills today. Remember, learning a new language is a marathon, not a sprint, and every bit of progress you make, no matter how small, is a step toward your goal. You've already taken that step by being here, and that's something to celebrate. The techniques we covered today, mastering pauses and engaging in real-life conversations, aren't just tips. They're powerful tools that you can start using right away. But here's the secret to making them work for you. Consistent practice. Dedicate just a little time every day to these techniques, and over time, you'll be amazed at how much progress you've made. Some days may feel harder than others, and that's okay. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up and giving it your best. Also, don't forget to celebrate your wins along the way. Did you say a difficult sentence today? Celebrate it. Did you try shadowing for the first time? Amazing job. Every achievement, no matter how small it seems, is proof that you're improving. Write down your progress, track it, and be proud of how far you've come. If you enjoyed this lesson and found it helpful, don't keep it to yourself. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who's also learning English. Your actions could inspire them to start their own learning adventure. And if you want more lessons like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so you never miss my latest videos. There are so many exciting lessons and tips ahead, and I'd love for you to join me on this amazing learning journey. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here and trusting me to guide you on your English learning journey. You've got what it takes to succeed, and I believe in you every step of the way. Keep reminding yourself why you started and hold on to that motivation. Together, we'll keep turning your goals into reality. Finally, I'd love to hear from you. What was your biggest takeaway from today's session? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, goals, and even your challenges. This is a learning community, and we're here to support and motivate each other. Remember, learning English isn't just about gaining knowledge. It's about building confidence, connecting with others, and creating new opportunities for yourself. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and don't forget to have fun along the way. You are capable, you are resilient, and you are on the path to success. Thank you again for allowing me to be part of your learning experience. I can't wait to see what you achieve. Keep shining, keep striving, and I'll see you in the next video.